I saw a post in my Facebook group and I wanted to share with you guys because I thought this really ties into what's going on in a greater sense. And I think it's really important that we start to have the conversation. I'm going to make it a point to go ahead and um, realistically what I'm going to do. But anyway, so this was what the person had posted. They had said, business advice. I'm going to try and keep it brief, but it's a long story. We are a 4-groomer salon, including myself and my business partner. We're in our 19th year. So this is somebody who's pretty established, right? So from there, they go, we groom about 100 dogs a week. Our 2 groomers gave notice. I can't tell you guys how much this is happening. I know it's funny because like I don't talk a lot about employees. I've been really shifting my focus to like getting you aligned in your business, getting your prices up. But this is a major issue in the grooming industry. I've talked for years about the groomer shortage, and there is a huge momentum where people want to start leaving either the grooming industry or they're going to be leaving your shop. Why? Because there has to be a complete paradigm shift. But so they left one day apart. Again, this keeps happening. I can't tell you how many people message me with this question. They'll be like, my staff left a week before Thanksgiving. Or they're going to say like 1 left and then 3 followed, right? These bigger shops, these high volume shops, right? So one is leaving in 2 weeks and the other on February 1st. Groomers are scarce in my area. Girl, groomers are scarce everywhere, right? And there's a bigger point in that, but we'll get to that later. They're very hard to find. If ads out, however, we are facing the real possibility of having to downsize or close since my partner and I can only handle maybe 10 or 15 a day. Jesus Christ, it's a lot of dogs. So we have to see what 3 options. 1, get lucky and find another groomer, or 2, to help us out. 2, downsize to 50 dogs a week. Between my partner and I, we have 8 to 10 dogs together, 4 days a week. Oh, that makes way more. That probably makes more sense. 10 to 15 together. 10 to 14 together makes more sense. I thought you meant 10 to 14 each. 4 days a week, which puts us back to 5 days a week. We are both been grooming 30 years plus, so not ideal. Third option is close up shop and call it a day. I can't tell you how many people are just doing that. They're just like, peace out. I've had it. It's amazing how often that is happening. I have 2 students in my group mentoring. One, is going in a completely different direction, and one had to completely rearrange everything in her business because it was a situation where it was like, okay, I have 2 options right now. I can either rearrange everything or, I can basically just close and walk away, which is not my goal for you guys, right? Unless that's what you want. If you're like, you know what, I just want to close, take a year on the beach, and then think about it. That's always an option, right? I don't know how we will be able to choose who to take out of our schedule when we've had most clients for the better part of almost 20 years. We've been there, starting to panic a bit, have no idea what to do. If you stuck with me to this entire post, thank you. Any advice would be welcome. So the reason I decided to kind of hop on really quick and do this is because I think this is happening so much. Because what worked 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago is not working anymore in our industry. These setups don't work. You have to completely rearrange the way you are managing staff, paying staff, and hiring staff. I think about the way that I work and the way that my son works, again, because when McDonald's is offering them 15 or 20 bucks an hour, you're not offering them money. And also, I'm right on the cusp in between Gen X and millennial. And we were happy to burn ourselves out for money, right? We believed in this ideal. And this generation and the younger groomers just don't. And a lot of you guys that have been grooming your Gen X's and your boomer groomers, right? You used to be okay with that. And you're like, you know what? I have burnt myself out and I really don't have anything to show for it. So this is an opportunity for you to decide what do I want to do? How do I want to shift? How do I want to do these things? So, first things first, I'm really sorry you're going to be going through this. It's really freaking painful. It is incredibly painful to have to basically, like, this is divorcing your dream and having to reimagine it, right? It's like your house is on fire and you're like, do I try to save the house and try to fix the house, or do I let it burn, let it demolish, and then rebuild? And that's a very, very personal decision. I can't tell you what to do. What I can do is I can tell you what I've seen students really enjoy and succeed in. So to me, there's a few options. One is to really stream down and switch to a membership. And what's awesome is that both you and your business partner, you guys know how I feel about business partners, but that's going to be a side. You and your business partner can have a membership where you have guaranteed money. Now, remember, there are 5 models of memberships that Savvy Groomer teaches. We have the enrollment model, which probably won't work for you. We have the unlimited bath model, which definitely won't work for you. And then the mobile, well, you're not mobile, so that doesn't matter. So you're going to go either want to go niche or yearly. You can have a situation where people are contractually obligated to be with you every 4 weeks. So then you just come in, you have a mutually committed grooming clientele, right? And that's really what it is. Again, you're basically saying, who is willing to commit to me every 4 weeks to be my client? Who is going to put their money where their mouth is? And again, that's a great way of having people, quote unquote, prove that they love you as much as you love them. And this is another painful growth. When we're doing things like large price increases, when we're doing things like creating membership models, we find out who actually values us. And a lot of times, guys, they don't love us as much as we love them. We have bent over backwards, sacrificed, and a lot of us have childhood issues. I know I did, right? Where you hope that you're going to do these things and you're going to get that love back. And a lot of times you don't. Right. And if you've had someone for the better part of 20 years, you're like, oh my God, this person I'm so attached to, this and that. But if they sold their house and they moved to another state, you would lose them. If their dog dies, you're possibly going to lose them. You know, at any point, they can choose to leave you. So again, that sense of loyalty. And I can't tell you how many people that do large price increases or a membership model find out once you actually say, hey, let's be in this committed grooming relationship. How many of them say, you know what, I don't really want to commit to you? And that doesn't feel good, but better to know then, right? Or now rather, than to learn that once this financial recession comes in and they decide getting their nails done is more important than your 20 years of loyalty. So I just want to point that out. So first option, get lucky and find a groomer or two to help us out. This is the most dangerous option, guys. The way the grooming industry treats hiring is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying, guys. I can't tell you how often you guys will say things like, yeah, I'll just like hire someone. I'm like, okay, well, do you understand the fundamentals of hiring someone? Do you understand how to pick that person? Are they going to be a short-term hire where you're just trying to like get through, a year and then to like kind of push out some distance? Or is it someone you want to invest in and you're going to have for 2, 5, 10 years? Those are two very different people. Again, in my corny and dating analogies, is this somebody because you're lonely, or is this someone you actually want to build a long-standing relationship with? And let's be honest, this is, if we imagined that you had a spouse leave, you had a spouse leave, and you said, well, I have one option, right? Which is to just get in another relationship because I can't pay the bills or I can't do all of this housework by myself, right? We would be like, be a little careful with that because the person you're going to pick is probably not the right person. They're just a body. And as anyone in the grooming industry knows, when you hire a body, you are asking for a lot of trauma and drama. Okay. So I would be very cautious with that. Now, there's a big difference if you're like, listen, I'm going to reach out to my local community and say, hey, does anyone want to pick up a day or two? I'm trying to restructure my business, come up with a new plan. right? And I could really use some help to help with the overflow. That's a very different conversation than please, 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 someone come save us, please, 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 please. Or ha 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 ha, who can I steal from another grooming salon? Because there's only two ways to get a groomer, guys: train your own or take them from somebody else, right? Because either you're getting a baby groomer out of, grooming school, right? Or you have somebody who is working somewhere and you're able to kind of steal them away. Now, I don't think you own your employees. Do not misunderstand. But you've got to be very careful, because if you are able to entice somebody who's happy in their grooming, employment, why would they leave? And what do you offer that's different? And that's where option two and potential, option two really comes in. Downsizing, restructuring, really honing into what do we love to do? What do we do really well? Like really honing in on that. That is where the majority of the grooming industry needs to go, is take two steps back, look at the big picture and say, my business partner and I, what is the plan? What is the exit strategy? We're either going to die, we're going to move, we're going to get too physically injured to do this. What is the goal? Is the goal to build it up to sell it? Is the goal to give it to a groomer that we have trained and we really adore? Is it to give it to a child that you have? Is it to, just close it when you're done? The way that you're growing that business really tells you a lot, okay? A lot about what is going to happen there. Again, because you're going to build it differently, right? And the way you're going to hire is very different. If I'm building it to eventually give it to a mentee, right? Someone I'm mentoring and quote unquote grooming, right? To take over this business, I'm going to hire someone very, very different than if I want somebody that I can just say, hey, we're going to be closing in 6 months. Come write it out. I'm going to give you severance pay if you stay. And that'll be that. And I'm going to hire a very different person if I want them to be agreeable enough that when I go to sell it, they're going to stay. So just knowing your exit strategy will tell you who to hire, and it's going to be very different. But for you, what do you want to do? Do you want to really niche down to small dogs? Do you want to just do certain kinds of dogs? What is it that you want to do? And I hate to say it, but the majority of us need to drastically increase prices. We are right now teaching the Pay Master class. And one of the fundamental things is a lot of you guys are not doing things legally. I cannot tell you how many of you guys are doing 50% exempt commission employees, and you're not tracking hours and you're misclassifying your employees, and you're going to get hit by the IRS. They hired all of those people and they're going to come for you. So it's like, okay, if I have to pay hourly, or if I have to keep my payroll at 30%, am I charging enough? Right? So this is a great option to reshuffle. This is a great option to pull back, raise prices that way. You can have a groomer groom 5 dogs a day, without a bather, 5 dogs a day, and still make a livable wage where you are. And again, if that is anywhere between, so many things, right? Everyone says, well, yeah, I won't pay $20 an hour for my groomer. It's like, okay, well, what is the livable wage? And again, we talk about that in some of that in the price increase masterclass, but we talked that way more in the Pay Master class, guys. We're creating products to help solve these questions for you guys. And a lot of this really comes down to, what do you want? Is it easier to close and then just reopen and rebrand, right? Or do you want to take 2 steps back and redo everything? And I always say, like, option 1 for this person, which is get lucky enough to find a groomer or 2 to help us out, that is the worst option. And I'll tell you why, because there's nothing worse than being beholden to somebody else. When you hire that groomer is going to be your crutch and is going to be the person that you rely on. So when they call out, it's going to add so much more stress. You're going to put so much more pressure on that person. That's not really fair. When I talk about adding an employee to your business, I want you to imagine that it's like, you and your clients are the spouse, you are the mommy and the daddy, right? You have a stable structure in place. The employee is the baby. Don't add a baby. I mean, I did personally in my personal life, but try to wait till you guys are stable to add that baby. Why? Because when you have an employee come into a business that is more than abundant, that is more than enough, you have lots of patience, right? To train that person. You're in the right mindset to not ignore red flags, right? And you're not in this place of, I just have to hire this person, right? You're not taking the steps necessary. And it is going to be hard to be hiring people, but there's going to be a shift, guys. Any of you guys that were grooming in 2008, remember that there's going to be lots of people losing their redundant office jobs. There's going to be a lot of people that basically did nothing for a living. And they're going to think, hey, I want to groom doggies for a living. This will be fun. They're going to take classes like ABC or online learning, grooming schools, and they're going to be knocking on your door. If you're going to be hiring, that is always an option, but do you want to train that person? So you have a lot of questions for yourself. To me, the majority of you guys need to take 2 steps back, stabilize your business, get your business stable and profitable without employees. And then when you are stable and profitable, then add your employees, but have a plan of where they're going to go. You are going to be so much more patient and kind and a better leader when you are in a place of stability and strength than fear and instability. So I know you're panicking, but give yourself the opportunity to either, and again, not here to sell you stuff all the time, guys, but please consider, investing in some of the master classes and probably, go way up, especially if you've been open for 19 years, unless if your price point is 200% more than when you started, you're probably in the place of doing a price increase. I can't tell you how many of you guys are not keeping up with inflation with your prices. You're not keeping up with a local livable wage. You are not able to compete with even things like McDonald's because they have to. Okay. So I just want to share that with you guys. And I hope this really helps. Again, I know it's a really scary thing. And the reason I decided to do this live is because I was super inspired and I just feel really awful for this person, but they're not alone. I can't tell you guys how many people they're groomers that are like either leaving the industry or they're deciding it's just not for them anymore, right? They've decided that, you know what? I just don't feel like dealing with this anymore. And they're either going mobile or they're going in their homes or they're getting smaller. It's time for us to evaluate our businesses and make sure that they are profitable enough, right? That to pay this person more than enough, right? If you look at your local Zillow, right? If you look at your local Zillow, how much money do they need to earn? Remember, whatever the local apartment is, 2-bedroom, 1 pet, you need to make 3 to 4 times that. Are they making that? Probably not, right? Which means we have to raise our prices. So thank you guys so much for being here. You aren't watching this later. It's still a really good time. I really hope this person listens to this and takes it into consideration because it is a situation where, what used to work doesn't work anymore and we can't make it work anymore. Like you can't force it. You can't. And as an industry, what worked 10 years ago will not work, guys. And yes, Savvy Groomer is creating these classes. Because I don't teach cookie cutter, because my goal is for you to think about what you want and how it'll fit in your business, right? It is taking longer. Why? Because I will never say you do A, B, and C. What I do is I listen to you and I go, okay, this is the questions you need to ask yourself. And this is what you have to design, right? Because whether you're going your exit, just your exit strategy alone is like 3 options. There are infinite number of options. But I want you to think about this as something fun, as something exciting, something that is a turning point. It's a new, fun, fresh way of doing things. And yes, you do have to, for better or worse, guys. When you have these relationships for 20 years, it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have ever been through like a really life-changing trauma. I talk about when my daughters, my twins, I lost them at 20 weeks. They passed away. And you learn who your friends are. So friends that you've had forever, when you go through a trauma, you find out who your real friends are. Well, when you're doing a large price increase, when you guys are going through a trauma in your business, you find out which clients really have your back and which ones just say they do. So it is really hard to confront those things. It does not feel good, but it's a great time for growth. And it removes a lot of the guilt that you may feel. And again, it doesn't feel good to put all the pressure of, I mean, just listen to this. We've had them for about of 20 years, right? And you're afraid to choose who to lose, right? Well, that's a lot of pressure for a groomer to come in, because you're having me come into your work, not because you're looking to grow me as a groomer and me as an employee. It's because you're afraid of losing a relationship with other people. That doesn't feel good. And again, done a lot of therapy, take it for what it's worth. That's basically like having a baby to save your marriage. And all of us would say have a baby because you want a baby and because you're in a safe, stable, healthy place, right? Again, I did not do that. I had my son living in my car. It is what it is. But in a perfect world, right? In a perfect world, that's what we would tell you to do. So, and I'm not judging anyone, by the way. You guys know, if you don't know my story, it's on my website. It's embarrassing and really, it's really embarrassing. Like, I'm a hot mess express. But I'm always going to say, like, in a perfect world, we would do this, right? So again, guys, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I'll talk to you later, guys. I hope this was helpful.